The early 5th century BC was a defining period for Athens and, by extension, Western civilization. Central to this era were two prominent Athenian statesmen, Themistocles and Aristides. Their political rivalry culminated in a pivotal election, the outcome of which had profound implications for Athens' future and the future of Western civilization. Themistocles' victory shaped the course of Athenian military strategy, leading to the naval expansion that enabled Athens to defeat Persia and later establish itself as a major power. However, if Aristides had triumphed instead, the trajectory of history would have been markedly different. Themistocles and Aristides represented two contrasting visions for Athens' military and political strategy. Themistocles, born around 524 BC, was known for his ambitious and visionary leadership. He championed the expansion of Athenian naval power, foreseeing the strategic importance of a formidable fleet in countering external threats, particularly from Persia. His tenure as Archon in 493 BC marked the beginning of significant naval enhancements, including the development of the Piraeus port, which would later serve as a critical naval base for Athens. In contrast, Aristides, often called the Just, was renowned for his integrity and commitment to traditional Athenian values. He advocated for a focus on land-based military strength and was skeptical of extensive naval investments. Aristides' conservative approach emphasized maintaining the status quo and prioritizing the interests of the aristocracy and landowners. The political rivalry between Themistocles and Aristides reached its zenith during an election that would determine Athens' strategic direction. Themistocles' vision of a dominant navy clashed with Aristides' preference for a robust army. Themistocles emerged victorious, leading to the ostracism of Aristides. This victory paved the way for Athens to invest heavily in naval power, a decision that would prove decisive during the Persian Wars. Had Aristides won the election, Athens' military strategy would have likely remained focused on its army. This land-centric approach would have had several profound effects. Without a strong navy, Athens would have been ill-equipped to challenge Persian maritime dominance. The Battle of Salamis, a turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars where the Athenian navy played a crucial role, might have resulted in a Persian victory, leading to the subjugation of Athens and possibly all of Greece. Themistocles' naval policies facilitated Athens' rise as a maritime power, fostering trade, colonization, and cultural exchange. An Aristides-led Athens might have missed these opportunities, limiting its influence across the Aegean and beyond. The defeat of Persia at Salamis allowed the Greeks to turn the tide of the war and preserve their independence. If the battle had been lost due to the absence of a strong Athenian navy, Persia could have established control over the entire Greek world. Under Persian rule, Athens would not have been able to develop the democratic institutions that later influenced Western political thought. The autocratic Persian model of governance, emphasizing centralized control and obedience to the king, might have taken deeper root in Greece, preventing the flourishing of democratic ideals that later inspired modern governments. Furthermore, the lack of a powerful Athenian navy would have stunted Athens' ability to expand its influence. Themistocles' naval policies allowed Athens to dominate the Aegean Sea and form the Delian League, a coalition that later evolved into the Athenian Empire. Without a strong fleet, Athens might have remained a secondary power, overshadowed by Sparta's military dominance. The Delian League's influence was instrumental in spreading Athenian political and cultural ideas throughout the Mediterranean. Without it, the transmission of these ideas might have been limited, delaying or even preventing the intellectual and artistic advancements of the classical period. Themistocles' naval expansion also had profound social implications. The creation of a powerful navy required manpower, which led to the increased participation of the lower classes in military service. The rowers of the Athenian fleet were primarily from the Thetes, the lowest social class in Athens. Their contribution to military success strengthened their political influence, contributing to the expansion of democracy. If Aristides had won the election and prioritized land-based military forces, power would have remained concentrated in the hands of the aristocracy, slowing the democratic evolution of Athens. This delay in democratic development could have altered the course of political evolution in Western civilization, where Athenian democracy served as an inspiration for later republics. Culturally, the security and prosperity afforded by naval supremacy created an environment in which Athens flourished during its golden age. The wealth generated through trade and tribute from the Delian League funded monumental architectural projects such as the Parthenon, and supported the development of philosophy, drama, and the arts. Philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle emerged within a society enriched by intellectual exchange and artistic achievements. If Athens had suffered under Persian domination or remained a conservative land-based power, its contributions to philosophy, science, and art might have been diminished or significantly delayed. The absence of a strong Athenian influence could have altered the course of Western intellectual history, potentially delaying the Renaissance and Enlightenment, which drew heavily from classical Greek philosophy and governance. The effects of an Aristides-led Athens would have extended beyond Greece. A Persian-controlled Athens might have imposed autocratic rule over the region, stifling the democratic ideals that later influenced Western political thought. Without Athens as a cultural and intellectual beacon, the Renaissance and Enlightenment, which drew heavily from classical Greek philosophy and governance, might have developed differently, or perhaps not at all in their recognizable forms. The absence of Athenian influence in shaping Western thought might have led to a world where centralized autocratic governance remained the dominant political model, rather than the democratic and republican ideals that emerged from the Athenian experiment in self-rule. The rise of Athens as a naval power also influenced the balance of power in Greece. Sparta, a land-based military power, was Athens' main rival. The naval dominance of Athens allowed it to challenge Spartan hegemony, leading to a more balanced power dynamic in Greece. If Aristides had won the election and Athens had remained a land-based power, Sparta might have become even more dominant, shaping Greek history in a way that emphasized militarism over intellectual and artistic achievements. The Spartan model of governance, which prioritized military discipline and oligarchic rule, might have gained greater influence, potentially altering the values that later shaped Western civilization. Themistocles' vision for Athens ultimately enabled the city to become a beacon of democracy, culture, and intellectual achievement. His policies allowed Athens to play a decisive role in shaping the Western tradition. Had Aristides prevailed, the world today might lack the democratic traditions, philosophical advancements, and cultural achievements that emerged from classical Athens. Themistocles' victory was not just a political event but a defining moment in history, ensuring that the principles of democracy, strategic military foresight, and intellectual progress took root in the Western world. The election of Themistocles over Aristides was a pivotal moment in history that determined the course of Athens' military, political, and cultural development. His emphasis on naval power enabled Athens to defeat Persia, expand its influence, and develop a flourishing democracy that would later serve as a model for Western civilization. If Aristides had won, Athens might have remained a secondary power, possibly falling under Persian control or being overshadowed by Sparta. The cultural, political, and intellectual legacy of Athens, which shaped the course of Western history, might never have come to fruition. Thus, Themistocles' triumph in this election was not just a victory for Athens, but a turning point that shaped the foundations of the modern world.